All right, that's the song. That's the theme song. Hey guys, this is Tara Devlin. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. How's everybody doing? Francis and Tara Jr. are sleeping behind me. Let's see. Let's hope they stay that way, sleeping. But I didn't. They were too cute. I didn't want to wake them. All right, listen, guys. Listen. This is Tara Devlin. We meet here every Tuesday. This is the Tuesday Tarabuster on the Political Voices Network. So, I know it's a little confusing. The show on Fridays is on the Tarabuster YouTube page. This show will be available tomorrow on the Tarabuster YouTube page, and it will also be on Apple, iTunes, all that stuff, okay? As an audio podcast as well. Thank you, Charlie, from APS Radio News, for everything you do to keep the show going and growing, and everything you do to make the world a better place with your donations to not just this show, but the community cats. It really means a lot, and it helps, especially this horrible winter out there. The cats couldn't have survived without your buying those shelters for them. So thank you so much, Charlie. And if you guys want to support Charlie's APS Radio, go over to APS Radio and just put that on your browser. Classic rock and oldies all day long. And if you're into classical music, there's a classical music station. You just put that on, and you can make that the soundtrack of your day. Okay? That we stick together, we win. Thank you, guys. Okay. And thank you, Charlie. Okay, what am I saying? What am I doing? What are we talking about? So many things. I have so many things on my mind. I listed a lot of... Oh, here's the first thing I have to say. This show is moving to 1 p.m. Eastern, okay? 1 p.m. Eastern time starting next week. It won't be on at 2 p.m. It's going to be on at 1 p.m. I hope that's not too much of an inconvenience for you guys. Or myself. I hope to actually add another show on Thursdays soon enough. I might just start doing the Thursday Tarabuster at 1 p.m. Because there will be a new Political Voices show on at my time. Well, 2 p.m. is not my time. It's everybody's time, I guess. We all just work it out. But there's a new show, and his show is going to be every day. I'm trying to find so I don't mispronounce it. Blah, blah, blah. Let me see. It is the Ben Caminos show. You might have heard of him. Ben Caminos. He's going to do a show 5 days a week at 2 p.m. at the 2 p.m. time slot. So once my show is done on Tuesdays and soon Thursdays, stick around for Ben Camino. And yeah, we're just building this independent liberal media voices. Okay, guys, so what do you think about that? Let me know in the chat. All right, my friend. Let's see, where do we begin? All right, I hope you're subscribed to my Substack, because I take it personally if you're not. But on top of that, I wrote an article. It didn't come out yet. It'll probably be posted after this show. But I wrote it about billionaires. And in fact, I was preparing a whole different show today I have a few things on the list I was going to talk about. And maybe we'll get to it. Hopefully we will. To Trader Trump's incredibly disgraceful behavior on Valentine's Day. Not just disgraceful, but repugnant. It never ends. The bottom just keeps opening up the trapdoor, and we keep tumbling down lower and lower into Dante's 15th circle of hell with this baboon. When is that great getting up morning, guys? Every day I wait for my phone to go dinging off the hook. It's going to be one of those days. They'll be dancing in the streets that great getting up morning. But so I was starting to do that prep for that show, because I wrote an article yesterday, and as I was prepping for that show, we might talk about, we'll see how we go, because time really flies when we're doing a Tarabuster here. And I came across this other article on Washington Monthly, and I thought that I wanted to talk about that too, because I wrote an article yesterday on the Political Voices Network that will be posted soon on the Political Voices Substack about how Peter Thiel is out there. He's doing it again as what he always does, which is talking about how he hates democracy. And he's been given a stage, and this is what I'm so sick of in this new gilded age of grifters, gaslighting, and greed. I'm sick of our fellow Americans being stupid enough or having enough Stockholm syndrome to platform billionaires as if they're better than us, as if they're smarter than us, just because Peter Thiel, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, just because they have money. And it's really the sickness of the society that made them as filthy rich as they are, because they're not. None of these people are geniuses. Okay, they're con men. Peter Thiel is a con man. Elon Musk is a con man. Jeff Bezos is, I don't know if he's a con man, but he's really not. I mean, he's a guy who made a bookstore online. And we'll get to it, okay? Because we know what happened a couple of, was it a week ago? I know how time flies. It's hard for me. I have a hard time with time, okay? I really do. When people say, when did this happen? When did that? I don't remember the years. And as you know, every friggin' day feels like a month, sometimes a year in this maladministration of authoritarians who hate America, and the Republican enablers who empower them. So, but I was reading about how and we know that Jeff Bezos fired, he purged the staff at the Washington Post, and I find it so disgusting and repugnant how they still dares, he dares to have a masthead that reads "Democracy dies in darkness," as if we're not paying attention. You see, this is one of the hallmarks or one of the features of authoritarianism, how we don't pay attention to what they do, just look at what they say. And that's how Trader Trump wants to be judged, of course, because if you look at what he does, it's clear that he sucks at business. He sucks at administration. He sucks at everything he's ever touched. He's nothing but a con man. And I don't know how stupid you have to be to fall for it every single time. Or is it that you just are, you're looking at a mirror. You hate the same people. And that's all it takes. But that is all the more reason that we have to protect democracy. We have to cherish it. We have to cultivate it and make sure it lasts for future generations. So I came across this article on Washington Monthly. Let me see if I can put it up. Where is my screen flow? Here we go. And it all fits into everything I've been writing about and thinking about, because I've been saying forever, if you've been watching the show as long as Jim has, and thank you, Jim, for being a moderator in the chat room, that billionaires are anathema to freedom and democracy. And they are a symptom of the fact that we have let go of our democracy, that we're not a democracy anymore. In fact, there was just that another thing we did on the show was the Oxfam report. And the Oxfam report measures economics and political systems and, well, basically the American system. We're officially an oligarchy now. And it's just like the fall of the Roman Republic. And we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago with Joe Walsh, how if we went back in time and interviewed people who lived in the, let's say, in the early days of the Roman Empire, under Augustus, under Tiberius, under, under the Claudians or the Flavians. And and you ask them what kind of system they lived in, they would say they lived in a republic, because they still voted. They voted for local administrators, and but the power, all the power. I mean, it makes sense because of course, the empire was so big. You had to have local administrators, but all the power rested in the hands of one man, not in the Senate, and people of Rome, of course. And they had a very much different type of republic than we do. We have a democratic republic. They didn't elect their senators. Their senators were there by mere fact of being born on third base. So and we had a semblance of that at one time here in this country. We didn't elect senators initially. That changed. The more we go towards an actual democracy, the more we expand the franchise of democracy and make room for others at the table. We see how the Republicans can't handle it. That they would rather throw out the whole thing than live in a democracy. But it's another thing I came across too when I was researching and thinking about this show was another article actually was on the Washington Monthly. Let me see if I can find it. But it was the article on there about Hannah Arendt. And I was reading about, of course, we all know who she was. She lived in Nazi Germany, and fortunately she escaped early. She fled to France, I think, in the early 30s, and then she fled to the United States in 1939. So by doing so, she saved her life. And but she's the famous quote about the banality of evil. And in this article, let me see, Washington Monthly. Here we go. It's right here at the top on the front page. Hannah Arendt talks about, well, it's not Hannah Arendt, but in the article, the author of the article, where is their name here? Robert Shapiro, mentions that Republicans, according to different surveys, 2025 survey, 16% of American adults identify as MAGA supporters. That's 43 million people. That's a lot of fucking morons, okay? A lot of racists, a lot of horrible people who don't care that we have a baboon with epic, unmeasurable corruption that we will be dealing with for generations, probably long after I'm gone. And they, where is it? These maggots are fiercely loyal to Traitor Trump. And but they're kind of pulling away because of the Epstein files, some of them, because a lot of them came to maggotry through QAnon. But, okay, these are the same people. There's a divide amongst the Republicans and Democrats where of course, you've probably heard this before, where more Republicans accept political violence as a means to an end. And not only that more Republicans are not supporting democracy anymore. Okay, this has been a long-term goal of the Republican Party, of Peter Thiel, of the American right. And I've said it for years, not just, they hate America. They hate democracy. They are dragging us back to the system the founders fought a revolution to overthrow. And I wish I was wrong about that. I really do. I'm not just saying this to be mean or hyperbolic or inflammatory. It is the truth. They don't want to live in a democratic society. Well, now we have the stats. We have the stats that came out that said of course, we knew this already. Trader Trump is the worst president in American history, hands down by, multiple double-digit historians. We knew that the first time. These measures keep coming out, these polls, because he's a traitor. He fucking divides the country. He wages war on the American people. And he is riding this authoritarian wave for as far as he could go, and he would crown himself if he could. He's already done it through AI. There's nothing more authoritarian than a wannabe dictator metaphorically pooping on his people, wearing a crown and flying over protesting people and pooping on the people. How is that monster still in office? How's there any support for him? I don't get it. See, I would be offended even if Obama, it would never happen in a million years if Obama released a video, an AI video of him dumping on maggots. I wouldn't think that's funny. I would be embarrassed. But you see, that would never happen. Democrats, for all their flaws, we would never put somebody so manifestly unfit in charge, because fundamentally we believe in democracy. We believe in America. Republicans don't. They don't believe in the grand experiment in liberal democracy. Since the founders rebelled against the crown, they've been trying to drag us back. They've been trying to do it. You don't just do it out of the gate. You have to soften the ground through propaganda. And on my show on Friday, we went through that PragerU video. They're literally releasing videos for young people, history videos, right? And these are PragerU, for those who don't know, is this right-wing propaganda mill that targets the youth. And they have contracts with over 10 states, of course, all red states, all these poorly run red states. And they're teaching children that the founders were ingrates and that King George III was a benevolent ruler, that he was the personification of an enlightened, benevolent ruler. I mean, I kid you not. And if you watch the show on, you can just go on the, wherever and find it on the YouTube page, on the YouTube series of tubes, and find it. But the fact is that an alarming amount of Republicans don't support democracy. Let's see, in the Washington Monthly article, in this Hannah Arendt one, says that such a substantial support reflects a significant decline in, they're talking about, support, let me roll back one paragraph here. If elected politicians will not protect democracy, the people must do it themselves, even if it requires taking violent actions, say maggots. This is supported by moderate Republicans, all Republicans, not just the maggots, by 50%. Okay, so then it says such substantial support also reflects a serious decline in Republican support for democracy itself. 69% of maggots believe that Republicans, I'm not reading this correctly. 69% of maggots and 58% of so-called normal Republicans agree that having a strong leader is more important than having a democracy. Are you kidding me? See, they want daddy. That's that whole daddy's home bullshit. They don't want to be adults. They want to, call people the R word. They want to misgender somebody. They want to drink liberal tears. They want to be dicks to people. They want all the benefits of civilization, because God help you if you ever call them a name or something. Or, as we see every time, just go on the leopards eating your face Reddit page. Every time the sting of the lash of their policies hits their shoulders, they're whining and bitching and, oh, me, I didn't know me. I was going to get hurt. I thought I was only hurting you. Right? I'm not waste, fraud, and abuse. I thought you were. I was drinking your tears. No, I was wrong. I mean, some of them don't even admit they're wrong. I still support my dear leader, but they could never. Some of them will never break free. I mean, the guy just posted a video of the Obamas with the Obamas as monkeys, and there are still Republicans. Okay, this is who they are. That's disgusting. They should all be embarrassed. They should all be ashamed, but shame requires a level of maturity, I guess, a level of decency that they don't possess. So, okay, let's go back to Bezos. It really annoys the fuck out of me, the whole thing. So, we're not just annoyed. I wish I was simply annoyed, right? I'm panicked sometimes. I'm terrified. I'm infuriated. I can't take it. So here's a tale of two publishers, written by Marcos Koulanakis over at Washington Monthly. And this is the article I came across. And I thought we should talk about it because I don't think it's getting any attention, is it? Is it getting attention in the maggot, or not maggots, in the mainstream press? Nah, not really, right? They're too busy. What are they talking about? Making excuses for Trader Trump's latest nothing. They're stenographers for the lie. That's all they do. What's the point? What's the point of a White House press corps? Can anybody explain that to me? All they do is write down what the friggin' lies are, and they report it. They don't do any due diligence. They don't put it in context. They allow, like another thing. I should, if we get to it, Tara Jr. Oh fuck! You saw him come down. Now he's wants to jump up. Junior, you're a pain in the ass, but you are the producer. All right, let's see if he can sit here quietly. He starts biting my hands. That's what happens. He's a very harsh producer. Because he didn't like my comment there. I love him though. He's my baby. He's my good baby. But sometimes you don't want your hands bit, right? So okay. Here's the thing. Where is it? Trader Trump. I don't understand. Okay, here. Let me get my thoughts because Tara Jr. distracted me here. I blame him. But so okay, I don't understand why billionaires are kissing his ass so enthusiastically. Okay. Get down. See how long that lasted? He's biting the headset. Okay. Yeah, why do they kiss his ass so enthusiastically? He's got low poll numbers. The economy sucks. He's losing support. He's all over the Epstein files. The sword of Damocles is hanging over his head, legally and peacefully, so to speak. And I know it feels like he will never face accountability. Maybe he won't. Sometimes I think the only accountability, the only hope we have is that great getting up morning when it comes to accountability for him. But that's not going to translate to Pam Bondi. And it's not going to translate to Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, all these horrible people who hate America. They don't give a shit. That's what we have learned. Just like in Nazi Germany, well, I don't know why I was surprised, but even Kamala Harris said how she was surprised how quickly so many of the big corporations bent the knee to Trader Trump when, all we had to do was stick together. That's why I say we stick together, we win. All they had to do, and they have the FU money, right? Why are they bending the knee? I'm here in my little Tarabuster doing my show, and I have no power. I have no money. I'm like, please become a patron. Please follow my Substack. That's as far as I am. No billionaire. And we're the ones standing up. The independent media, the independent person in the streets of Minneapolis. We're standing up. But these fuckers who have everything more than they could ever hope for to spend in a million lifetimes are dedicated to our destruction. How dare they? I don't know if that doesn't infuriate you, then maybe you're watching the wrong podcast, because we are in that existential crisis, and something has to give. Something has to be done. And this is a tale of two publishers, as the article writes. So Jimmy Lai is another publisher. He lives in Hong Kong. Now he's in a Hong Kong prison because he dared to believe that Chinese people deserve democracy, free speech, an independent press. You see how quickly that could end here? So prosecutors in China, they used Beijing's national security law. That's all that has to happen. They come up with some bullshit law. We see what they're doing with this Department of Injustice. All they have to do is have a compliant people like Pam Bondi, and you want to talk about lawfare? That's what we're witnessing. But you would think a billionaire, how many times over, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times over, wouldn't care, wouldn't give a shit. Say, come at me. Come for me, bro, right? Stand up, have some balls. But they don't. These are the weakest little beta bitches going. And that's what gets me with these right-wingers, too. They're so manly, masculine men of masculinity, right? But they're such betas. They're such little sycophants. And they're genuflecting to this baboon, this horrible bitch, this Putin bitch, right? He's a Putin bitch, too. Wears fucking makeup, a girdle. Who's a liar, who lies about his height and weight. This is who they're genuflecting to as manly men of masculinity. But, okay, so give me a break, Jeff Bezos. Democracy dies in darkness? Yeah, it dies when we're, I guess, got our heads in the sand and we're in darkness. We're only in darkness because these fucking billionaires have too much power. The only profession enshrined in the Constitution as being necessary for democracy, as being vital. What is vital? Vital means you need it to survive. It is the press, the free press, journalism, and these pricks. He put that democracy dies in darkness masthead on the Washington Post when he pretended to be somebody who gave a shit about democracy, how concerned he was that Trader Trump was a fucking fascist and a traitor, and see how good that goes. But so we have to compare these people. There's people all over the world are in jail for journalism, or look at what happens in Russia. They lose their lives for committing the crime of journalism, for telling the truth about the dear leader, for speaking the truth about the dear leader. This is what freedom is all about. And these fuckers don't give a shit. They want us all in bondage. I hope maggots get a clue that they have been on the wrong side, not just of history, decency, dignity, democracy, and humanity, but they've been on their own wrong side. they are slitting their own throats. You try getting ahead. You know, they're all like, oh, my pocketbook, kitchen table issues. Try getting ahead in an authoritarian hellscape. I got news for you, bubby. You're not going to be a billionaire. Okay? You're not. And instead of joining with other people, that's how, this is what they do. They divide and conquer. Divide people along racial lines or along every distinction without a difference without a distinction or distinction without a difference. Have the American people, drink liberal tears, right? While they're sitting on their internet machine created through government research and development, meaning taxpayer dollars. This is what gets me about Jeff Bezos, right? Because he made, who the fuck is he? He made a bookstore online. Whoopee effing doopy. Does that mean he gets to rule us all? I guess so. And I'm so sick of these people giving these billionaires platforms, putting them on stage, asking them philosophical questions like they did with Peter Thiel. Yesterday, I wrote an article about it. It's coming up on the Political Voices Substack. How Peter Thiel is up there saying he doesn't believe in democracy. And he thinks that democracy is exhausted, liberalism is exhausted, and we have to think outside the Overton window to come up with some solutions, which we know what he's talking about because he's been saying it for years. In 2009, he wrote an article about how he doesn't believe in democracy anymore. So fuck you then. You don't have to believe in democracy, but you don't get to change the system that so many actual patriots fought, bled, and died to create and entrust to us. Because what's the problem? The system that you got rich in you're not rich enough? Right? This is what gets me, because this is the system. They got rich in the liberal democracy they want to destroy. And shame on us for making them so fucking rich that they forget that. And that has to change. These people need to be taxed into reasonableness. They have to be taxed down to size. I think they'll be okay, right? With a couple of million. Maybe 250 million? You think you'll survive? You'll make it to lunch, right? With that, there is no reason any human being needs $1 billion. Okay, not a single reason. Can somebody give me one? We are officially in the new Gilded Age, according to I think the perspective of how much wealth that filthy fucking man-child Musk has. He has, I don't know how to put it. He's got more, the percentage of wealth is rivaling the GDP of the United States. So we're officially in the new Gilded Age, even though we've been saying it for years, of course. So, we have a tale of two publishers. One is, this fake ass fucking poser. And another one is in prison now, who is actually believes he put his ass on the line. And nobody's putting Jeff Bezos in prison, though. He did it anyway. He destroyed the Washington Post anyway. There was no threat for prison time. His fucking ass was fine. He could still bang his trophy wife and sit on a yacht. Right? He could still have that gaudy wedding. He could still look like a dick. He looks like a shiny walking penis. And they all want to roll back time, as you notice. Peter Thiel's another one. I don't know if you saw him just like 5 years ago. I saw this picture of him. Let me see if I can find it. Peter Thiel. Because in a matter of 5 years, the difference is really bad. Here we go. It came right up. Let me see. It's incredible. Maybe you shouldn't want to live forever. Look at this, 2017 to 2024. What a difference. That's not that lot. I mean, you shouldn't have aged. I mean, what are you doing to yourself to make yourself look like this? He looks like a rejected mold of a cyborg, the one that you threw out because it was just like was cooked too long or something, and pasty and greasy and unhealthy, slimy. Okay. Disgusting. But he's, another one. Not only so he was on this Conversations with somebody, Tyler. Yeah, Tyler. Conversations with Tyler podcast. And not only did he once again repeat that he hates democracy, and we have to think outside the Overton window. It meaning, he wants fascism, he wants a dictatorship. And I don't know about you, but we tried that, just like we tried the Dark Ages before. And they were called the Dark Ages for a reason. So we tried the benevolent dictatorship. And not long, maybe like 100 years ago, they tried it again. And 85 million human beings went to their cold early graves on the philosophy that Peter Thiel wants to inflict on us again. And in this interview, in the interview that I wrote about yesterday, he's actually quoting, as he does, what's his name? Carl Schmitt, the intellectual Nazi. Okay, he was the intellectual apologist for, not just an apologist. He gave intellectual cover to the Nazi experiment, so to speak, the Nazi destruction of Weimar. The same reasoning that Peter Thiel uses, that we should, liberalism is tired and exhausted, and it's obviously failed. How has it failed? You know what has it? It hasn't failed. You see, it's the problem that Peter Thiel and these billionaires have is that it still works, that democracy still works to a degree, that we still have some power to tell him no, to regulate him. That's what it is. They don't want anybody, like Atlas Shrugged. Well, fucking shrug already. Go off and shrug. Shrug away. Fuck off to Epstein's Island. Leave us alone. We don't need you. You know what I mean? We don't need your Palantine. We don't need your stupid tweets. Or we don't need your bookstore online. Really. It's these people, they are, with every word, with everything that they post, with all their bullshit, I don't understand how anybody buys it. And they give him a platform. You had to hear these assholes talking to him. And let me see if I have it. Asking him questions like, who the fuck is he? He's a guy he also has this other side job of going around. I'm talking about Peter Thiel, of going around and, he's obsessed with the Antichrist. And the other thing, I see how time flies on Tarabuster. Let's not forget that Peter Thiel is J.D. Vance's sugar daddy. That, of course, the corporate media, because they're too busy being stenographers for a con man, does the corporate media report this? That J.D. Vance's entire life is bankrolled by a billionaire who hates democracy? Right? I don't know about you, but I give money to politicians I believe hold my ideology, that will believe in what I believe. So why is J.D. Vance? J.D. Vance says meeting Peter Thiel was one of the most pivotal moments of his life. He met him at Yale, And then, of course, J.D. Vance J.D. Vance is fucked up, guys. I have to say, if everyone on Earth turned gay, I mean, if every gay on Earth, well, if everyone on Earth turned gay, it would be wonderful. But if every gay turned pink, he would light up like a Teletubby, or gay or trans person, because he's, he wrote in his book that he was questioning his gender ideology, that he didn't think he fit into the strict gender roles. And yeah, I mean, hey, fine. But it makes, I mean, when you look at it through that lens, it does make sense now why he's such a scold, why he's such a tedious, scold about, oh, men need to do this and women need to do that, and so anti-gay. It is textbook self-loathing and projection. And so you got to wonder, this person, when he was in Yale, he met Peter Thiel, and he says it was the most pivotal moment of his life. I mean, I guess more than meeting your wife, the birth of your children. Peter Thiel, meeting this pasty-faced, the horrible cyborg who thinks he's wants to live forever, and we're all just Soylent Green. That's what it is. They want to treat us as nothing but hosts from which to suck profit and discard. So you think the corporate media might put that together, as they did with, remember, palling around with terrorists. We still remember that phrase from Sarah Palin, how Bill Ayers sat on a board of directors with Barack Obama, and Bill Ayers also had a fundraiser for one of Barack Obama's campaigns, and we had to endure through the entire campaign of John McCain and Sarah Palin, these, shame on John McCain, that maverick, for propelling that unfit grifter to the second in line to the throne, right? I mean, without a Sarah Palin, we wouldn't have a traitor Trump. It's all been downhill since, because they don't care about, it goes right into what I'm saying. They don't care about democracy. They don't care about America. I wouldn't hire somebody to babysit my cats that didn't have qualifications with cats, right? That hated cats. Why would you do that? Because you love your cats. Same thing with America. You wouldn't hire somebody to represent you or represent your country in the world. You wouldn't hire somebody who hates America, who hates democracy, would you? Unless you hate democracy too. So we had to put up with that, palling around with terrorists, but we never hear a peep about Peter Thiel and J.D. Vance, who funded his entire career. Now, compare it. Obama was a toddler when Bill Ayers was in the Weather Underground. And, he barely knew Bill Ayers. It wasn't like they were palling around anything. But conversely, of course, J.D. Vance is his pre-politics life was made possible by Peter Thiel, who put him at the head of a hedge fund. I mean, what do you get out of that? You got to wonder, okay? Because J.D. Vance, and another thing that is very sus about J.D. Vance, and I'm sure you've seen those pictures of him in drag when he was in Yale, that's something that, of course, if you talk to any trans person, Halloween, they love Halloween, all right? Because, you're in the closet, you're suffering for this gender dysphoria, and Halloween is the one day you can finally put on, you can be yourself. You can put on women's clothes or men's clothes, as the case may be, and feel like yourself. And that's what he chose to do on Halloween. He dressed up as a woman. So you got to put in, I don't know. I'm just saying he's a textbook self-loathing closet case somewhere in there. He hates himself. And a lot of Republicans are the same. they hate themselves. If they only, that's why they hate the world. They hate everybody. They hate everybody who's different. Everyone who has the courage to live authentic lives. They hate that. Everyone who has the maturity to function in a free democratic society, who has the maturity, the decency, they can't stand it because it's well out of their reach. That's why these people are fucked up. Bezos, Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance, they're all fucked up. Look at who they're funding, these horrible people to run the world, and I don't understand how anyone votes for them. And we're seeing just how repugnant they are, how they're all over the Epstein files, because they think we're all nothing. That's why Howard Lutnick can take his kids to Epstein Island after 7 years after we all knew that Jeffrey Epstein was a convicted pedophile, and list the ages. The wife sends the convicted pedo an email saying, I'm bringing 7 children, ages, and here's their ages and genders. Why would you do that? Like, that is so weird. When you go to lunch at somebody's house, do you send them a list of your children's name, ages and genders? It's fucked up. These people are fucked up. But because they, it's because we're not people. Like Ghislaine Maxwell said, they are trash. Why are you concerned about them? They are trash. That's how they consider it. They consider us trash. So, yeah, there you go. And where was I? Hold on a second. I was just looking up all the billionaires in the Epstein files. They're all in there. Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Richard Branson, Leon Black, Leslie Wexner, Mortimer Zuckerman. Let's see. Peter Thiel's in there. Fucking Elon Musk. They're all disgusting. Is Bezos in there? Yeah, but Musk, Bezos, and Thiel appear as part of a network on guest lists. But they're all palling around with a pedophile. Palling around with a pedo. And what does it matter? Well, they don't care. Well, here, let me see. Let me play this clip. Wow, not Curtis. Yeah, that's the other thing. He funds, not only does Peter Thiel fund J.D. Vance, he funds Curtis Yarvin, who is a fascist. They're all these tedious little man babies. And let's see, here we go. I'm trying to find the one where it's exhausting. They're all this thing. He's talking to young people. That's what's so concerning to me. And they treat him with such deference, like he's such a genius. He's so boring and so stupid. When they open their mouth, I mean, when you hear somebody who, like when Peter Hawking was alive, and you could, he spoke through that machine, but you could tell he wasn't an idiot. Could you imagine him, Peter Hawking? No, was it Peter Hawking? What's his name? Hawking. Is it Peter? Somebody on the chat. Hawking. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, Peter Hawking. Right. I'm sorry. So many names. Was he on the Epstein list? He might have been, actually. But they're asking him questions, and he's just throwing out Carl Schmitt's name without any context. This is what Peter Thiel does. Let's not make any mistakes here. Carl Schmitt is a Nazi. It was a Nazi jurist, a Nazi so-called intellectual, and Peter Thiel loves reviving him for our fascist coup. We know how the fascists ended last time. They don't end well. Fascism doesn't work out well for people. for the majority of humanity. I mean, if you're somebody like Peter Thiel, I guess you'll be okay. And the fact that he doesn't give a shit about anybody else but himself says that he's not fit. He's not fit to be interviewed, or he's not fit for anyone to ask him questions about what he thinks about the system. But he's doing it all behind the scenes because he could never get elected himself. Let me see. He could never. He doesn't have charisma. I don't understand. I guess he only... Well, I hear that, I'm sure you've heard it too, that he forced Trader Trump to pick J.D. Vance, and, because otherwise he wouldn't fund him. That's why, and J.D. Vance, it makes sense. J.D. Vance was a relative newcomer to politics. He had that Ohio Senate race that Peter Thiel funded. And then he's the vice president after being a senator for a couple of years. It's all disgusting. Okay.
But I think there are, and again, I don't think we're ever in a cyclical world, but there are certainly certain parallels in the U.S. in the 2020s to Germany in the 1920s, where liberalism is exhausted. One suspects that democracy, whatever that means, is exhausted.
Whatever that means.
That.
Oops, sorry. Whatever that means. And another thing that annoys me, like J.D. Vance is supposed to be a Catholic, supposedly. We were talking about this on when John Fugelsang was on the show. Let's see.
Well, again, these aren't. They're absolutely not all the alternatives. It's always a little bit of a cheap shot. My 2-word rebuttal to Roman Catholicism is Pope Francis.
Isn't that funny? Because Pope Francis is not a fascist, I guess, and cares about people. I wonder what J.D. Vance thinks about that. Right? Now we have another pope, but Pope Francis was a progressive. I always say, you tell me that guy's a genius? No, he was born on third base, thinking he hit a triple. He inherited a trust fund. He parlayed his trust fund into more money, a bigger pile of money. Good for him. He's not a genius. And in fact, that he funds the likes of Curtis Yarvin, that he quotes Carl Schmitt as some kind of great philosopher, means that he's unfit, that he has a diseased mind. There's something wrong with his mind. And in fact, low IQ and racism go hand in hand. There's many studies that can back that up, and we don't need studies. We have our own lived experience. People who are racist, they're racist because they're dumb. They're stupid. They're afraid. They're small. They shouldn't be in power because it's too overwhelming for them. But here, let me continue with I didn't mean to hit that.
Liberalism is exhausted. One suspects that democracy, whatever that means, is exhausted, and we have to ask some questions very far outside the Overton window.
Very far.
What is it you think that Schmitt missed that's very important?
Let's maybe I'll just sort of do one insight that I think is powerful, and then sort of what's wrong about that. One of his books was The Concept of the Political.
Isn't he smart? He's so intellectual, guys.
What defines politics, and it's sort of this.
He's awful.
It's some of this division of friends and enemies.
Okay, that whole friends and this is why he always brings this up. If you go and Google Peter Thiel talking about Carl Schmitt, that's all he talks about. He must have read it. He read a paragraph. He overheard somebody talking on an elevator at a Nazi rally or something, and he picked it up. He's friends and enemies. He defines the friends and enemies. And that is such a Nazi frame. And according to Schmitt, that's what politics is. It's a game of friends and enemies, and who gets to decide who the enemies are? They're the dear leader, of course. And if you're outside the enemies, if you're one of the enemies, you get to be destroyed. I mean, what kind of sick, filthy mind thinks that that's a rational point of view? in our modern world, in any world, in the human race, with all our differences, with all our diversity. That's how we were made. And this piece of shit thinks he calls himself a Christian. He actually does. It's all convoluted, and that's how God made. If you believe in God, God made people diverse. You piece of dirt, and in fact, I guess according to God, you won't be getting into heaven because it would be easier for a rich man to get through the eye of a needle. But it's besides the point for these people. It's never enough. That's what pisses me off. They're sick. And what's worse, at a certain time, we have to ask ourselves, like, what's wrong with us for allowing it to continue, for allowing them to continue to rule us like this? The system, he didn't make billions of dollars, by the way. It was the rigged system that made that possible. Yeah, I'm sure he'd be rich, but not to the degree where he's, thinks he can decide what empires rise or fall. This is what people used to understand, like Teddy Roosevelt, earlier generations in the first Gilded Age understood who the enemies were, that it's bloated fortunes, concentrated wealth, like FDR said, those privileged princes of a new economic order that reach out to control government itself. They want to control us. They want us to have nothing to say about our fates, and they certainly don't want us to pester them for any fair share of the profit that labor makes possible in the first place. I mean, these people are sick. Like Elon Musk, literally on that stage in Munich, telling one of the interviewers, another example, they bring this prick on and they giving him deference like he knows what the fuck he's talking about. It reminds me of during that Piers Morgan interview where Peter Thiel, he basically glitched out, and but I don't know if I'm going to play it. I don't think we have enough time. We only have a few minutes left. But there's a point where Piers Morgan was discussing meeting Elon Musk and how, wow, I will never go up against that brain. He was talking about going to Mars and all. I mean, that's all it takes to impress you? He's not a genius. He doesn't have a very big brain. He's like Trump. He's talking about going to Mars, and everybody, let's go to Mars. And everybody's like, oh, here's take our taxpayer dollars. He's a grifter too. They're all grifters. I've done many shows about how Elon Musk grifted his way into his fortune. So, they're all bullshit artists. And trust me, future generations are going to know it. And that's why when we talk about the likes of Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and Jeff Bezos, with Jeff Bezos, none of these people have any, you want to talk about skin in the game? They don't give a shit about this country at all. And we should be wide-eyed about what we're dealing with. These people have to be reined in. And what irritates me is that you think about Jeff Bezos, okay? Not only we allow this person to have to have his Washington Post, the Washington Post. This should not even be. It should not be the case. The only profession enshrined in the Constitution as being vital for democracy should not be entrusted to one person, to a billionaire. But there should be some kind of, collective, a board of directors. And because that's how important a democracy is. But that's how Jeff Bezos and all these people thank us. They get rich on our public schools, on our taxpayer-funded roads, our postal infrastructure, our government research and development. And they thank us by destroying us. Guys, thank you for hanging out. I can't believe that's the end of the show. Come on over on, Friday. We got our Tarabuster on Friday nights, 8:30 p.m. We will win. We're on the right side of history, decency, dignity, democracy, humanity. We stick together, we win. Thank you for hanging out. All right, listen. So like I told you guys, the show's gonna be on at 1 o'clock on starting next week. Hopefully, I will have. I'll do more shows. Do you want more shows, guys? Raise your hand in the chat if you want me to do another Tarabuster during the week. We'll have Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday then. Raise your hand if you want. Hey, if you don't want it, I'll just go take a nap or something. But no. So, what was I going to say? In the future, moving forward, going forward, what I'm going to have to do is, it's going to be tight. 3 o'clock, I have to jump off. Right? So we'll have to, instead of, a lot of times I like to hang around a little and chat, but I won't be able to do that because we have the new show starting next week. Okay. And that'll be good. But you'll be able to jump on their show on, let's see, what's the name of the show? It is, I forget. Ben Caminos. It doesn't have a name. It's just his name. Ben Caminos. That's pretty good. And Political Voices Network just surpassed 300,000 likes, or not likes, not paid subscribers, but subscribers. So that's pretty good. So the network is growing. So keep it up, please. That'd be great. And thank you. Yes. Okay. Everybody is saying yes on the chat. No, I knew you would say that. So, all right. Subscribe to my Substack. The QR code is right there. Hopefully that makes it easier. If you can't subscribe for money, subscribe for free. Because anything helps. And I got to get those numbers up, guys. I really need to have, like, I only have under 2,000 subscribers on Substack. So, which is not bad, but it's not, it's not like great. So, yeah, and I'm building it organically. I'm not buying followers. I have a suspicion some people buy followers, and I don't know. It's because it's empty calories. It looks like you have a lot of subscribers, but there's no engagement. So I want to do it organically, and that helps. So anything you can do to help is great, because we don't have big billionaire benefactors. If I had more big billionaire benefactors, trust me, I wouldn't have to say become a patron. It's true. I wouldn't. It would all be set. They would simply put up the Potemkin village of how many followers and just how popular the show is and all that. So it's true. That's what they do. That is what they do. We only have me and you, so we have to do it together. And thank you, Jim, so much. I hope you can still mod on at 1 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays. No pressure, of course. Everybody has a life. I'm glad your tech stuff was fixed. So it's good to see you there. So, all right, my friends. Let me hop off, and yeah. I had so many things prepared. That's why Friday's good, too, because we have a little bit more time. And I think a Thursday show would be good, right? And we don't always have to have guests. But you know what happened on Friday. Malcolm Nance didn't call. He was supposed to call. We haven't heard from him. Not good. I don't know what happened. Something is up. All right. We'll see. We'll see. Nothing, no hard feelings. We'll see what happened. I don't know what's going on. Bella's on vacation, so I'm not bothering her about it until she gets back. Then I'll bother her. All right. Love you guys. Thank you for hanging out. Please do all those things. Subscribe to my Substack. If you can subscribe, financially, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Patreon.com/Tara Devlin. That helps too. And you could subscribe to my YouTube. All that stuff. All right, my friends. Love you. Stay cool. Stay awesome. And I will see you on Friday or sooner in the chat or at the Substack. I'll talk to you soon.